I love that meme. I don't know the originality of it, but don't talk to me or my son ever again. It just makes me laugh. It's just the most ridiculous sentence to say to someone. Oh, hey, how's it going? Welcome back to Corks and Controllers. I'm your best friend, Victor. And joining me today is the cheesy counselor.
Victor. Yeah, we still need to find... Okay, I have it on my to-do list to get name tags. And I haven't done it because we need to come up with a nickname for you. What's going to be your intro?
I don't know. The 2 attempts at using ChatGPT to give myself a nickname has utterly failed. Then again, it's hard to give yourself a nickname because you want it to be right. But
the Koi Game Boy.
The Koi Game Boy.
Tell me that doesn't work. I mean, you're very shy. You are a gaming boy. The Koi Game Boy, Victor. I'll come up with something better, but
how big are these names? I mean,
they're just like patches, like the hello, my name is. Except it's like bordered, and the center is just like.
I guess we are recording 4K, so I can just punch in and read the Koi Boy from far away if I needed to.
4K. Oh, I was thinking Y2K for some reason. I don't even know what that means.
Oh my god, my sister's overreacted during Y2K.
What the fuck is Y2K?
Remember when everyone was saying like when the year 2000, like the clock hits, and it's the year 2000, and like all the computers were going to malfunction because they can't count that high, or whatever the conspiracy theory was, and like they're just like all systems are going to shut down because they just can't. All of our infrastructure can't handle it, and so my sisters. I apologize to my sisters. My sisters start filling every pot we had in the house with water. So we can survive a few days drinking water. Because
the computers were going to shut down?
It was like a real... I don't know the entire thing about a Y2K, but I knew that what I do know is that as an actual thing that happened inside of my home is my sisters being like, we're going to fuck it. We're going to need to survive. And so like...
You need to like mark yourself safe from Y2K on Facebook.
I think they numbered the cans of food that we had.
You're kidding me.
To be like, we'll eat this, and then we'll eat that, and then
look at that. That was excellent prepreparation for COVID.
There we go.
Who knew we were going to have that,
The wrong event. But anyways, what an odd show to start off with. Mr. Victor, how are you?
I am doing very well. How about yourself? I am jacked off a Monster that I drank because... Oh, what a day at the office. But yeah, so I am like tingly.
I'm doing well. I'm trying to get jacked off this coffee. But
the kitty cat.
Oh, the cat. There's a cat around me?
No. Oh. He's currently, I see the little jelly beans over there.
Okay. There we go.
Although I did see during the Ramirez episode that he was giving you some beef.
He was giving me some beef.
He was chewing on some styrofoam.
That's right.
And then you had to go give him some butt pats.
I know. I had to give him the famous butt pats. It'll never stop being hilarious to me. How because as you know, we're fostering one cat who's super sassy, but it's nothing compared to the mood swings that Mako do. Because like he's an absolute sweet boy. He'll never bite you. He'll never hiss at you. He's just a goddamn sweetheart. But when he's hungry or not in the mood to play, any butt pats will just be like. Meow, meow.
He protests.
And then you feed him, he's just like, give me the butt pats.
See, what's funny is that like my dog for some reason like loves it when you pat her butt.
Mm-hmm.
So like I'll just like go like this and she'll like shift her body in a way. So like if I'm patting her back, eventually I'm like, why am I patting your butt?
Give it to me.
And then it's like I stop patting her butt. So like she'll like position herself so that like her butt is facing me. So like easy access to the butt pat, And it's like if I'm patting her butt, it's like she's looking forward, wagging her tail. If I stop, she does this and just looks at me, stops wagging the tail, and I keep going, she'll turn right back around. It's like, I don't know what it is. Maybe she can't reach that spot, so it feels great to her, but yeah, my dog is weird. The butt pats, that will never be punishment. Punishment for her will be me showing her a piece of food and eating it. That'll be like, you scallywag.
Yeah, I did see your... Oh my God, Victor. Okay, you need to address this, Victor.
Yes.
Sorry. Because as a person who hasn't owned a dog in a very long time, I have the mentality with pets being just like, they're living beings. They deserve respect. And I want to give them the best of the best. They deserve nothing less. But I'm also just like, it's also a cat. So like, I don't need to baby it and like buy like the most high grade, zero gluten, whatever thing, crazy cat lady stuff. But yet I turn on my phone and I open the Instagram app, and there goes Mr. Victor Vilvazo feeding their dog steak with the caption saying, and all I get is a $6 tin of mussels.
$4 tin of mussels, yeah. So it was Martha's birthday. Martha's my God. Yeah, it was Martha's birthday. She was turning 2. And Martha is a very antisocial dog. Mm-hmm. She loves me, loves my family members and people that come on over. But if she doesn't know you, she yearns for your blood. And she makes that known. She terrifies everybody that meets her that's a stranger. Like, it's like she'll like... You know how there are dogs that'll just like look at you and you're like wondering like, you're going to bite me? And he's like, I might. Martha's just like, she sees you, it's World War II. And she will stop at nothing to destroy you. So I can't have anybody over. But anywho, so it was her birthday. So I'm like, okay, like I need a, so this all started, this tradition started with my former dog, Mama's, the one who passed away. So I would make her a steak for her birthday. And there was a little intersection where it was, I think, Christmas, the Christmas before Mama's passed and the Christmas right before, or the Christmas that Martha and Mama's coexisted in. I think I made them both steaks. And back then, Martha was like maybe like a 20-pound puppy. And I mean, she was a puppy, but 20 pounds. So I made them both steaks or whatever. And that's kind of like how Martha got peeked into that. But so, yeah, so it was her birthday. And I was like, well, I may be broke right now, but my dogs, it's her birthday. And it doesn't help that we also have a 100-pound German Shepherd that is technically my nephew. He has to eat too, so I had to get 2 steaks. So I got them both USDA Prime New York strip steaks. And, buddy, $37 a pound. Yeah, that was a very pricey steak. And it does not stop there. So I got them the steak, but I also decided to get them a really, really nice organic heirloom green apple, along with an heirloom pear. So their appetizer was a frayed green apple with 2 pear chunks, drizzled with honey with a solitary salted cashew. That was their appetizer. And then
their dogs eat better than me.
They eat better than me, man. It's that bad. And then for their entree, so each of their steaks weighed approximately like about a pound and like a few ounces.
Right.
Those steaks were probably like, I don't know, man, like maybe about as long as this bottle of wine.
Yeah.
And maybe almost as thick. So they were pretty hefty steaks. So their entree was the steak, and then I also made them a carrot gratin with basil. And then I also served them my expensive ass pilchard sardines. So these are the ones that are like individually packed, and they came in, preserved lemon oil. So they got a single one of those. And then for dessert, they had 1 hot Cheeto.
Single hot Cheeto.
Because hot Cheetos for dogs, I don't recommend feeding them very often, hot Cheetos, because it will irritate their stomachs, but they are like crack to dogs.
Really?
You give them a hot Cheeto, they see that bag, it's like heroin. Like, they want nothing else. Like, if I put a sardine, a steak, and a hot Cheeto in front of my dog, she's going for the hot Cheeto first. Yeah, it's like they're like just licking their mouth like constantly, but wagging their tail, and they're just looking at you like, give me another one.
Goddamn chops.
Like, they're literally a drug addict at that point. But so yeah, it was her birthday. So yeah, that was her birthday dinner. So, and I had a $4 tin of mussels that I added a can of tomatoes and a piece of chorizo too. And it was fantastic.
Well, at least that's good. I mean, it's so funny too, because when I first saw the story that you were posting, because the way I always go through them is like I don't power through it, but I'm always like, I'll look at the picture and be like, I process that.
Yes, that's how I do too.
And then when I start getting confused, that's when I like rewind and go like, hold on, what's happening? And so what happened was, as I was passing through these pictures, being like, ooh, Victor's eating good tonight. God damn. and then my initial reaction was like, oh, Victor's Victor's doing what I would do with steaks, which is tease the dog, being like, ha ha ha, you smell this, and then start cooking and be like, not for you. But no, I went back, read the captions, and went, excuse me?
Yeah.
Excuse me? Okay. my close friends would know this about me, but I have a dream dog.
Mm-hmm.
It is a Pembroke Welsh Corgi that is
the royalty of England.
That is slightly overweight. I don't know. It's in my brain, but it's slightly overweight because I want to name him Torta.
And it has a poofy butt.
It has a poofy butt
That wiggles when it walks.
And you know, there's like two or three parks near me, I think. So it'll work out. And yeah, even then, even for my dream dog, I'd be like, there's no fucking way you're eating a steak over me. You better get in line, little buddy. I'm so sorry. I know you're in my dreams, and I still have to apologize, but you...
And you know what's funny is
I'll
that...
give you a piece.
And you know what's funny is that, like, I made them this elaborate-ass meal, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, these dogs eat well. So per week, they go through, like, about 4 cantaloupes, 2 honeydews, like, about maybe 10 pears, a bag of carrots, maybe, like, 5 peaches, 10 bell peppers. I mean...
3 Cheetos each.
yeah. So, I mean, it's like, they eat very, very well. But it's always hilarious when I come home with, like, a Big Mac and fries. When they see a pear, they get excited. Mm-hmm. When they hear the Big Mac bag, you know, with the fries, and they smell that, they're both lined up sitting right next to me. Like, so even with Mama's, I knew this. So, like, the day Mama's died was very sad. But the one, like, shining thing about it is that before that day, I would have never fed my dog fast food. Mm-hmm. Like, that's like the no, you know. But that day, it's like, everything happened so quickly. I was coming home, and I had Carl's Jr., you know, that I was going to eat when I got home. And so I had this, oh my God, it was like a bacon double Carl or something with Chris Cott fries, you know. And I don't know what happened to me, you know, in that moment that I'm like, this is a perfect time to give it to my dog. So I asked the vet, like, hey, you know, like, my dog's going to get put down. Can I give her my burger? And then the vet started crying, and I'm like, well, you know, it's only fitting, you know, that this would be her last meal. So Mama's last meal was that bacon cheeseburger or double Carl, whatever the fuck it was. And yeah, she went out very well in that sense. She's never tasted ketchup or mayo, so she was living it. So I will feed my dogs steaks until, you know, that day. But when that fateful day come, they'll be getting the Big Mac or a cheeseburger or something.
Damn. Man, you're fucking me up today, Victor. Because now I want hot Cheetos and a Big Mac. So I'm going to have to remedy this. After the show. But anyways, speaking of the show.
Yes.
Shall we get into it?
Yes. Shall we start with the beer first?
Let's start with the beer.
Oh my God, yes. This beer I cannot say enough good things about.
Oh my God. So Mr. Victor brought over... How'd you say this?
So it's Uintah.
Uintah.
Yes, Uintah.
Is it from Utah?
Yep, it is from... All right. Like, Uintah? So yeah, Uintah Brewing, they're based out of Salt Lake City. They are one of my favorite breweries of all time, along with Wasatch Brewing and Squatters. Mm-hmm. All three. So these are the beers that I cut my teeth on when I was in Utah.
Have you ever been?
Yes. I mean, every time I go back to Utah, I always got to go to these breweries. Like, always.
Can we go to Utah?
We can go to Utah. You tell me the date.
Oh my goodness.
But yeah, so Uintah Brewing, so they're famous for a whole bunch of different beers, but my favorite one of all time is this specific one. Every single year, they just like, we're not going to make any pumpkin beer this year. Riots in the Instagram comments, like, don't you fucking dare. This year, they pulled off a quick one on April Fool's Day, and even I fell for it. I'm like, you little shits, don't you dare discontinue this beer. But yeah, so when I was in Utah, I started off drinking PBR. Oh yeah, gotta hear this. The sound that every person likes to hear. Mm-hmm. So when I was in Utah, I first cut my... what's that thing on the computer?
Yeah. Oh, that's fine.
Okay. So when I was in Utah, I started drinking PBRs. You know, maybe the occasional Coors Light, Corona, and whatnot. And I think it was like my second year there, maybe 2012, that I discovered what was known as craft beer. And so the first pack of craft beer I ever bought was this Sierra Nevada Pale Ale, which to date is still my favorite beer. But then shortly thereafter, I'm like, wow, Utah has some breweries here. Let me explore them. Nothing had to be said afterwards. I mean, I will say this. For Squatters Brewing, their Apricot Hefeweizen beer is my favorite. For Wasatch Brewing, the Polygamy Porter is my favorite. Mm-hmm. And then for Uintah, it's their Pumpkin Ale. man, I don't know. It's just nostalgic. I mean, these guys are super like earth friendly. I mean, on the back of the can, they tell you all the different steps that they take, to be like sustainable and blah, 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 blah. And the beer's fucking great. So for all you pumpkin spice latte fans, this beer is not for you. This beer is spiced. It has pumpkin, but it is not sweet. Mm-hmm. So cheers. Or as we say in Utah, Mormons. Cheers to the Mormons. So it just smells like a pumpkin pie, but then it's like you taste it and you're like, whoa, this is refreshing.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I can destroy this can.
It's easily. Like, it smells like what you want it to taste like, but then it tastes like something you want to drink. It's kind of hard to describe. It's like, it gives you all the vibes when you're smelling it. You're like, toasty fall crunchy leaves, Taylor Swift albums, and firesides. But then you drink it, you're like, God damn, this is good beer.
There you go. Yeah, and I was about to say, I was like, I wonder if it's one of those dangerous ones, but it is only 5%, so I can easily like kill a 6-pack if I got a whole weekend to myself.
Whenever I see, so these guys, believe it or not, are super hard to find in the goddamn Central Valley, like super hard. Like, I get it. Who the hell's going to carry a beer from northern Utah in Central California, But every time I see them, I'm just like, how many you got? Like, you got like 6 12-packs, or, like, you got like 12 6-packs? Like, tell me, like, I want to know because I'm going to buy them all. So, yeah. Victor. So, to Uintah, to Squatters, and to Wasatch, I love you. Take us out to Utah, please. I go there every time. Oh, my God. And their brew pub is amazing. The food is incredible. And they got the coolest merch, especially Wasatch. I mean, they embrace their polygamy. As in, like, the old label, the polygamy porter, used to be like this Renaissance painting of a man surrounded by like 7 wives. And it's like they were borderline naked, but they so eloquently put like drapes over, the nipples and whatnot. So, yeah, I love you guys. I look forward to seeing you soon in like probably the next couple months.
Oh, my God. I need to go to more of those because I think I've only been to 2. I've been to the Firestone one and the Lagunitas in Petaluma. They're like a eating restaurant, whatever. God damn it! What was the word you just said?
Oh, brew pub.
Brew pub. God damn it. Anyways.
So don't counsel me when I say this, but let me tell you that nowadays there are so many overrated breweries. Mm. Don't slice me. I heard what I said and I stand by what I said. It's like, when I first learned about these guys, like there were maybe like, I don't know, 5 breweries in the whole state of Utah. Now there's like 50. Mm-hmm. It's like in California, it just like fucking quadrupled.
Yeah.
I think I've been to more mediocre breweries than I have to more mediocre wineries, and wineries outnumber breweries by like a gajillion to 1.
Yeah.
I'm not going to name drop anybody.
No, I wasn't going to either.
Like, I valued the beer community too much to do that, but let me just tell you, man, sometimes when I go to a brewery, I don't want to be drinking Pine Sap. I don't. Or I don't want to be drinking rice water. Or if you're going to, sell a stout, have it at least taste somewhat malty. Like, if it pours, like, the color of, like, diluted Coca-Cola, that ain't a stout, bro. So, yeah, I got some mixed feelings on them. But Uintah, Wasatch, and Squatters, I love them all. Delicious beer. And I think a 6-pack of that in Utah is like $8, which is pretty damn cheap. I think in California it was like $6.99.
I don't remember if I was talking to you about this. Maybe I was talking to... No, I was talking to Kaylin.
So good.
I was talking to Kaylin. Wait, why was I talking to Kaylin about this? Was it Kaylin? Anyways, I'm confused. Everyone is like, what is he talking about? Anyways, so I've heard recently, and to be fair, this is not like a good source. This is literally a guest of a podcast that happens sometimes. Mm-hmm. So it's not like it's a news article or anything like that. But through this one word of mouth, I've heard that Salt Lake City and its area is becoming like a millennial utopia, where it's just like there's a bunch of like there's an art scene and there's like craft stuff and like coffee shops everywhere now, and I was just like, weren't those guys like the Mormon capital over there? And like what's
so the story of Utah is very simple.
Okay.
So there are 3 major cities in my opinion. There is the city of Ogden, way up north, and then like about 30 minutes south is the great city of Salt Lake City. And then like maybe an hour or so but south of that is the city of Provo. So the city of Ogden has a very dark history. It was known as the whore town. As in like all the railroad people coming in, like there were the brothels and there'd be bars and stabbings and murders and blah blah blah. Salt Lake City became like the central hub. But the practitioners or the followers of Mr. Joseph Smith, who would later found the Mormon Church, established themselves in Provo. So to this day, Ogden remains as like the punk kid of this Utah scene. I love Ogden. The best pizzeria that I've ever been to my entire life is Lucky Slice. It's in their best Thai restaurant, Ruin Thai, in Ogden. It is a very safe place if you stay west of the freeway. But if you go east of the freeway, you're in Utah. Is safe for the most part, but not that part of Ogden. That is like probably as bad as like Cal and Fresno. I mean, it's real bad. But Salt Lake City is also the capital of the Mormon Church. So you have the state capital, which is Salt Lake City, but you also have the capital of the Mormon Church. Salt Lake City. So you have Provo, which is the embodiment of Ned Flanders. If you go to Provo, it's just Jesus everywhere.
Yeah.
Like there is no swearing. It's the main campus of BYU, Brigham Young University. I mean, 18-year-olds are getting married left and right. It's polygamy is real. You will see that in Provo in southern Utah. You'll see a guy at like a Target, with like 5 ladies that are about his age, and you're like, they all got wedding rings. What the fuck? Yeah. And you're like, okay, cool. Polygamy's a real thing, but I was living in Salt Lake City and in Ogden. So like things were different for me. But yeah, so Salt Lake City kind of became known as like the halfway point between those two.
Yeah.
And I would say when I first moved to Utah, Salt Lake City was rad, but it was like a safer version of a large California city. Like, I could go get drunk on the streets of Salt Lake City at, like, 2 in the morning. Well, bars weren't even open that late, honestly, to be real. But, like, I wouldn't get mugged. I wouldn't get raped, or I wouldn't, get anything like that. It was just safe, which is why my parents were so cool with me going to Utah in the first place. But, yeah, now Salt Lake City is definitely way more... So, even when I was in Utah, back then, I remember I had one of my classmates. Gay guy... totally cool or whatever, but he's the one that told me like, oh yeah, per capita, Salt Lake City has the most gay people in the whole country. And I'm like, what? Like per capita? He's like, yeah, remember per person, not like, like we have 5 million gays here. It's like, no, for every straight person, there's like, I think he said like a quarter of a gay person. So for every 4 people, there's a gay person versus I think San Francisco is like for every like 15 people, there's a gay person. But anywho, so Salt Lake City always had that really accepting, community and whatnot. But now it's gotten even more cultured in a way. So it's like you have the arts. One of my favorite things was the Utah Symphony. Oh my God. So like... Don't call me an old lady YouTube, but I love going to symphonies. I want to hear the French horn. I want to hear the trumpet, the violin. But the Utah Symphony,
go to one too.
Fantastic. They also have an NBA team. They have the Utah Jazz. I was like, it's not Salt Lake City, it's Utah Jazz. They also have a soccer team. I think they have like a minor league baseball team. The University of Utah's football team is famous at this point now. I mean, it's just like insane nowadays. And it's still the same Salt Lake City that I knew when I was there 10 years ago.
Wow.
So I cannot say enough good things about Salt Lake City or Ogden. I love Ogden just as much. Provo, I just feel like I start like burning as soon as I get closer to Provo. So yeah, hard pass on Provo, but Ogden and Salt Lake City. And there's a bunch of other like tiny cities too. Like there's Logan, that's where Utah State's at. There's also Orem. I think that's like the murder capital of the state of Utah. But then there's also like West Valley. There's also... I don't know, like 10 other cities. I mean, there's a lot more cities, but it's just a lot less. So, like, in between the cities of Ogden and Provo, that's where the majority of the state lives. It's like, and that occupies like maybe 1/8 of the length of the state. It's like, once you go south of Orem, Utah, like, there's like nothing there. It's like you're practically in Arizona. So, yeah, I don't know how we got to that, but yeah, that's my little 10-piece on.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just like, for some reason, there's one comment about being like, oh yeah, it's like, apparently it's becoming cool to be a millennial there. And I was just like,
oh, yes.
Because like ever since my failed move, I was just like, I wonder what else I would try.
So now I wouldn't do it as much. So when I first moved out there, I had a studio for $420 a month. Nice area. It's totally nice area. Walkable from school, you know, grocery stores and whatnot. Now I think a studio is closer to like 700, which is still a bargain. But for me, oh my God, gas prices out there. When I was in Utah, what was this, my freshman year, sophomore year, I remember gas here in the valley was like getting to like $6 a gallon. And I'm like, damn, I should probably like do a comparison. So I took a picture of a receipt, you know, it's like I filled up my tank with $18. And it's like gas at that point in Utah was like $1.30.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So everyone was all like, fuck you, Victor, you know, like, and I'm like, okay, for all the perks that there are in Utah, it snows. So there are a lot of things I fear in this world. I'm a chicken when it comes to a lot of things. But above all, snow terrifies me. From far away, it's pretty. It's scenic, you know, like it does great wonders for the earth and for tulips and daffodils and a whole bunch of other shit, you know. But when you're driving in it,
I was about to say, like the car part is the only one that's
now
like
get this. Most of Salt Lake City and Ogden and those bigger cities are on a goddamn mountain. As in, you're either going uphill or you're going downhill. So when it snows and then this quirky ass weather in Utah decides to make it rain, the snow turns into ice, and you're just playing Mario go-karts at that point. My first car, my 1999 Chevy Prism that I nicknamed Agustina, oh my God, she had so many dents on the front bumper and the back bumper from getting hit and hitting. It's like you don't even bother making a claim during the winter in Utah. Like I can't tell you how many times like people would bump into me and I'd be like, don't even worry about it, dude. Or like I'd bump into people, I'd be like, he's like, nah, don't worry, it's a $20 fix. Like don't sweat it. Yeah, that's the norm. But like when you're having to drive from work or to school in a fucking blizzard, oh my God. Okay, so snow's not the most terrifying thing in Utah. The most terrifying thing is the windstorms.
Okay.
Now, mind you, you're probably thinking like, how fucking bad is the wind, you know? When you live on a goddamn mountain, the wind gets bad. As in, I'm talking like no one ever believes my fear when I say this, but believe me, my fear was fucking real and it was valid, and I'm still terrified this fucking day. I remember vividly, like it was just fucking last night or this morning, like hearing the doorknob vibrate so goddamn loud from the wind trying to bust the fucking door open. And I remember I went to the door and I'm like, there's no fucking way. Like my first windstorm, I'm like, I'm gonna fucking die. So I remember I texted my mom like, hey, there's a really bad windstorm and the door's vibrating. She's like, what the fuck? And it's like, I cried myself to sleep that first night because I'm like, oh my God, the fucking building's gonna blow over. Like I'm gonna die. And I wake up the next day, everyone's out and about in this fucking like 40-mile-per-hour wind, like just moving their trash cans or picking them back up. And I'm like, what the fuck is this? Like, what demented society is used to this? And I remember I asked my neighbor, like, are you okay? And he's like, are you okay? And I'm like, no, like, what is this? And he's all like, this is normal, get used to it.
It'd be great before you even open your mouth. He just like puts his hand up. He's like, I've been here for 23 years. Okay.
That's how people like, yeah, it's like, dude, like there is nothing more terrifying than you're sleeping and you just hear a and it's like, that's the doorknob vibrating on your fucking door. Like legit, like your door's going like hella fucking loud.
Well, I wonder if Nicole would prefer that to being near a fault, because that's the only thing she's afraid of.
My God, those were terrifying days. It's like, even to this day now, I will never go to Utah in between the months of October and November and February through March, because that's when those windstorms happen the most.
So I guess going for my birthday, which is in April, is out of the count.
I mean, it still kind of snows in April, so I wouldn't say it's out of the count officially. I mean, it even snows in fucking June. I mean, the weather in Utah is fucking batshit crazy. It'll be sunny. I don't know, you have like fucking golf ball hail sizes, you know, like coming down, and you're like, what the fuck happened? Like, dude, like, I don't know if Utah has a separate god that just decides like, oh my God, you stepped on a crack, I'm gonna punish you guys now. Oh, look, someone sent a prayer. Let me give you guys sunshine.
God damn you, Jesus Christ.
I remember going to class, man, and it's like, I would look at the weather and I'm like, oh, you know, like 57 degrees. I'm you know, wear a fucking sweater, and then it's fucking sunny most of the day and it's fucking hot, and I'm like, one day. But for all of these things, I still love Utah. I would still say it's Utah, one of my favorite places to live, for sure. But yeah, so.
All right.
Damn, that's a long-ass tangent.
That was a long-ass tangent, but I really enjoyed it. So
let's move on to the Oh, the wine time? It is wine time.
What were you about to say?
I don't know what I was going to... I was still thinking about the wind, honestly.
Terrifies me to this
All
day.
right, so just so you guys know, pop quiz.
Okay.
What does a green sticker mean on a French bottle of wine again?
Multiple choice questions. Post Victor, put in the fucking, I want to be a millionaire.
So remember, there's your blue, your orange, your red, and your green. Maybe a yellow. I'm kind of like still out of it. Mm-hmm. But if it says the letter R, that means récoltant. It was a grower producer. Mm-hmm. If it says the letter N, it means négociant. That means they either purchased grapes or wine and blended it themselves. And if it's an E, that means it's a mix of both. So this one is green, which is the highest tax tier for wine. And it says the letter E, which means it's a mix of both estate grown and, fruit. Now, this guy is pretty cool. So the official name of this wine is Les Hautes Médocs des Hautes Bages Libérales, labeled Haute Médoc 2015. Mm-hmm. Now, this is a whole bunch of hoopla to tell you, okay, this wine is made by a famous estate known as Hautes Bages Libérales, but this is not the second wine. So in Bordeaux, there's this cool thing that happens. So you have a great year, right? Like 2015, you pick your damn grapes, put them in barrels. So winemakers will go tasting barrel by barrel, and they'll be like, ooh, this barrel is exceptional. That's going to go into what's known as the Grand Vin, or what would be labeled as Chateau Hautes Bages Libérales. Now, they'll taste the barrel that's good. They're like, this is okay, but it's not as good. That'll go into the second wine known as La Chapelle des Hautes Bages Libérales, which is sold at a significantly less price. And then there are those barrels that they're like, this isn't really reflective of what we do. It's still a good wine. It's just not, what the essence of Chateau Hautes Bages Libérales is, nor the second wine. And that's what this is. So this was a whopping $20 a bottle. Mm-hmm. An actual Chateau Hautes Bages Libérales from 2015, you're probably looking at like about $100. The La Chapelle is like about 55-ish or so. Now, in great years like 2015, these guys are fucking bangers. As in, like, you can get an age-worthy wine for like $20. That's why I got this. So, yeah, this is the 2015 Les Médocs des Hautes Bages Libérales. So this also is not sourced from Pauillac. That's the other thing I forgot to mention. The actual Chateau Hautes Bages Libérales can only source from a place called Pauillac in Bordeaux. Same thing with the La Chapelle. This is being sourced from Hautes Médocs from a place more north of the actual place, of the actual estate. I don't want to ramble too much. This is just fucking delicious, dude. Like, that's all you got to know. So I bought this wine probably, how many years ago? 3-4 years ago-ish or so. Put it in my storage for a couple years, and I'm like, okay, time to do it, So this is a blend of mostly Cabernet with some Merlot, Cabernet Franc, and Petit Verdot. Oh, moldy cork. I love those. That's actually a good sign. Oh. So when you see mold on a cork, you never want to fret. You always want to be like, oh, look at this. It was stored in exceptional conditions.
Take a picture.
Yes.
For the Post Victor.
Yes, so you can put a little picture here.
For the man.
So if you have mold growing on the outside of your corks, that means that wherever you're storing it, you're doing good. As in, like, it shouldn't be like rotten bread mold. It should just be like, a little bit of fuzz like you see on this little guy here. And most importantly, this mold should never actually permeate the cork. It should just be on the exterior of it. So let's see if I can get the little pop on camera here.
That romantic pop. Oh, right in the mic.
Oh, you hear that little squeak?
Be romantic, damn it.
There we go.
I talked over it a little bit.
Woo! That's good. That smells delicious. All right, so let's pour you.
Let me get a sniff.
Oh, yes. Sniff the cork.
Sniff of... Oh, actually. Oh, my God. Ooh.
Yeah, it smells like fruity. It smells like stony.
It's almost like a candy.
Yeah.
Wow.
So the color on this, you can't really tell on screen, but it's like a little brownish around the edges. And I mean like a tiny brownish. I'd probably say like maybe bricky. This is a wine that's not meant to age for like 30, 40 years like the actual Chateau Hautes Bages Libérales. This is just meant to be aged, like about maybe 5, maybe 8 years. Mm-hmm. But in that short amount of time, it softens it up quite a bit. Ooh, it smells like pencils. It smells like blackberries. It smells like currants. Mm-hmm. So, Santé.
Oh, definitely in the currants. I could be pretentious with my video lag and be like, oh, the color.
Oh, this is so nice. It's like a quintessential Cabernet-based wine. It's like, it's bold, but it's not obtuse. The tannins are there, but they're not overwhelming. It's not juicy. It's not silky, but it's textural. what I would do for a steak right now.
I know, this is so relaxed.
So it's like you don't really see Cabernets that are like this, that taste like Cabernet but aren't aggressive as hell like a fresh Cabernet. Mm-hmm. And yeah, this is, like I said, just a 2015. So now if you have the actual 2015 La Chapelle, I would probably say hold on to that for like another maybe 4-ish years. If you have the actual Chateau Haut Budge Liberal, I would say wait at least another 15. At least another 15.
Wow.
That's how great that year was in Pauillac specifically. And 2016 came and said, nah, you're a shit year. And then, yeah, any 2016 Bordeaux, it's just going to cost you a shit ton of money.
This is really dark, but for some reason, just now, I imagine, like, man, you're like 14 years in, and you're like, oh, man, next year I get to open that bottle.
And then you die.
Very nice. And then you get hit by a car.
Yeah, there's always that, too. I mean, that always crosses my mind. Like, what happens if I die tomorrow? What happens to all my wine? And then I start thinking, like, well, Victor, the good thing that you've done is you've collected excellent wines that will age for a very long time, that will wait for somebody worthy to come along to drink them. Because damn right, just like Thor, you know, only the worthy can pick up my wines. If you are not worthy, you may not touch them.
Or find my locker key.
Exactly, yeah. Which the locker key will be given to the worthy one. So, full disclosure, I have my locker key on my keychain, but good luck finding out which one is which. Because no one knows where my wine storage is. Well, no. Actually, Caitlin does, but he doesn't know which key it is. Which, you know, he has to give it 13 tries before he finds out.
I wonder if Caitlin is close to the worthy.
I declined to comment.
I just want to tease the boy.
Yes. He was given permission for one of his birthdays to go in there and pick out, I think, like 8 wines for his birthday.
Oh my God.
Yes. He picked out a good one too. His highlight was a 2015 Sassicaia. That was the wine of the year for Wine Spectator, I think, back in 2018. Yeah, it was a good taste. $250 bottle.
I recognize some of those words.
I know, right?
Oh my goodness. Gosh. Gracious.
So, yeah, what do you think?
I think it's great.
Dude, this with a cheeseburger would be so good. Like a classy cheeseburger. Yeah,
like my mind's still stuck on my relaxed comment, but I think mulling it over a little bit, I was like, it probably just really lends itself to the food that you're eating it with.
Yeah,
because like it's a nice compliment that doesn't get in the way because it's just a nice refresher for your next bite. So
let me give you a good tidbit, and this goes for all the fans out there. Mm-hmm. There is nothing enjoyable about drinking a wine so bitter that it sucks the saliva out of your tongue. No steak is going to make that taste good. No meal is going to make that taste good. Mm-hmm. If you like to drink bitter ass wine, like say, I don't know if you're up for it, 2021 Howell Mountain Cabernet from Napa Valley, and you swear this is the best thing ever with the steak, you're full of shit. Because that ain't going to taste that's going to suck the living blood out of the goddamn steak before it even died. I mean, that's how dry those wines are. To make a wine be tasty with food, it has to have high acid, first of all. It needs to be refreshing. It needs to be lightly chilled. That'll make it taste even more refreshing. Mm-hmm. But if it's like a Cabernet, you have to give it some time, man. I'm not talking like 30, 40 years, but, you know, even like, what is this, 7 years? 8 years? Well, actually, no, because this wine was probably released in 2017 or 2018. So it's only been like 5 years. So it doesn't need to age that long to soften it up enough to make it taste good. I mean, as you could tell, this wine is still dry. It's just not like a punch in the mouth.
No.
So it's like you could easily eat this with, you know, like, I don't know, pot beans with bacon. I mean, like, it's just that good, you know.
Well, what was your go-to for hot Cheetos again? Was it Voynier? No.
Riesling. German sweet
God.
Riesling.
How can I forget? Oh my God.
I'm salivating already.
This man with German Rieslings, let me tell you.
My collection is mostly German Riesling, I'll tell you that. Right. Well, actually, no, it's not. It's like, I think, second or third in line. I mean, there's so many bottles of Riesling, and that will see I would say it's going to see the 2100s very, very well. Mm-hmm. German Riesling can just age forever, man. Like, that stuff is just like, I tried watching Superman, and I don't know if I understand it fully, but it's like fucking kryptonite to time. Mm-hmm. It's like Riesling defies all laws of time. It says, been 50 years, I feel like I'm 2. That's how Riesling is. Like, it says, fuck you, time. I'm going to age at the time that I want to age. Huh. I've had 30-year-old Rieslings that, like, pour almost, like, white in the glass, like, white-green, like, almost clear. And I'm like, bitch, you're fucking 30. And it's just like probably thinking like, and what the fuck, you surprised? That's probably, yeah, if Riesling had a personality, it would be that bitch.
Even as a white, that's impressive too.
Well, that's the thing. It's that like Riesling will outlive any goddamn Cabernet by like 15, 20 years.
Yeah. Like obviously my knowledge is limited, but like, you know, the general consensus where it's just like, the whites, you got to be careful. You got to make sure you take care of them very well.
I would say like maybe 90% of white wines, don't really age that well. Mm-hmm. And even of the remaining 10%, maybe like 5 of them will make it like past year 5. But when you get to those ultra age-worthy white wines like Riesling or Chenin Blanc or really nice Chardonnay, oh my God. Like Corton Charlemagne. Let's go back to like our second episode about Louis Latour. Mm-hmm. Oh, Corton Charlemagne. But anywho, enough about that. So the drinks were delicious today. But let's move on to...
let's move on. Before we do that, let's take a small technical break.
Yes.
We're using some new software, so I got to make sure everything's running. So we'll be back in absolutely 1 millisecond.
Exactly.
You can even time it if you got to watch for it.
Right? I know, right? You should put that old school like timer like 3, 2, 1.
And we're back.
Exactly. The SpongeBob one. Shall we move on to the meat of our show?
Well, guess we shall.
So, let me start with asking you this.
Okay. What
have you been playing this past week? Have you been playing Cyberpunk?
I have continued to play Cyberpunk, yes. But other than that, I mean, I've mostly just been kind of excited for things. A new friend of mine has been playing. He's back on streaming. He's been playing those Call of Duty games. Yeah, so.
Is this the friend that's been playing Call of Duty for 5 years?
Not Ramirez.
No, not Ramirez. What, Ramirez plays for 5 years?
Well, actually, that is an inside joke about Ramirez, is that he plays the exact same game for like 5 years before switching games.
He earns a bachelor's degree in that game.
That is correct.
Wow, that's determination. So he has a bachelor's degree in Call of Duty.
But a good friend. Oh my God, God, the amount of toxic people who probably have multiple bachelor's degrees because they play every single title that comes out. But anyways, a good friend of mine, Christian, he goes by Coldy Pones online. He's been playing Call of Duty, so I haven't played yet, but I have downloaded it because he's like, oh, let's play duos, get on. And I'm just like, I don't want to download that game because it's like 500 million gigs and it takes like a half a day to download.
Well, not just that, but would you say that people that play Call of Duty, I don't mean to offend the gamers out there, I don't. But wouldn't you say that Call of Duty and Modern Warfare, and not forgetting the third one?
Black Ops?
I wasn't thinking about that one, but I was thinking about a different one.
Warzone?
There we go, that one. Mm-hmm. Would you say that a mix of those is just like your basic bitch Xbox game?
I mean, it definitely resonates with Xbox. People like when people think of Call of Duty, they usually think of an Xbox. So
like
I would say
like only serious gamers are playing Legend of Zelda, Mass Effect, or in this case Starfield. Like I don't think. Would you say that a person who played Call of Duty for 5 years would be interested in Starfield? Probably not.
Yeah, they'll probably mess with the shooting mechanics for like half an hour and be like, this sucks.
Yeah. Because they're not gunning down people, right? Yeah. Little fucking murderers in the making.
But yeah. So like, and I don't remember if I told you this, but I had my time with a Call of Duty or two. I used to be one of those people who would play it like nearly every day after school or after like I think for my first job at Office Max, like I think I would be I'd be going home and playing it, and then like. Look out the window and be like, oh shit, I gotta go back to Office Max. And like, so there is a bit of nostalgic watching them, live stream his video game and being like, maybe I do want to get back in there, but that's not what I want to talk about today. I just want to give like a nice little shout out to my good friend Coley. But anyways, there's a video game that is coming out at the time of recording tomorrow. So I may or may not be playing these games right now as we speak. But there are 2 video games coming out. One is from, I talked about it last episode, it's from my most favorite superhero comic of all time, which is Spider-Man. This is the second game from Insomniac Games launching on PS5 that features the normal, everyday, you know him, you love him, Spider-Man and his friend Miles Morales, who is a second Spider-Man. And in this story, there's like Venom, there's Kraven the Hunter. I think Octopus is back. Harry Osborn is back, who usually turns into Hobgoblin. So it's just like, this is going to be packed full of villains, and it's like amazing gameplay. It's awesome, but I already talked about that. But there's another video game that I'm going to talk about. Mr. Victor. Have you heard of a well-established and beloved character named Mario?
No. It's a Mario?
It's a Mario. And he has a brand new game. It's called Super Mario Wonder.
Bitch.
Yeah, and the reason why this is a big deal on the interwebs and everywhere else, you have an internet connection, is this is the first time in a very long time the cats are about to pounce on each other.
I was going to say, I see Mako like saying, bitch, I'm coming at you.
I'm coming for you. So you might hear some wailing, ladies and gentlemen. But anyways. Oh, yeah. There's some hissing.
Oh, I see the hissing.
There's some pouncing. There's some hissing.
Damn.
Yeah.
Mako just said, fuck you. Damn, Mako, you're so fucking iced.
And Mako's like, all right, fine. Screw you then. I thought we were going to have some fun. Anyways, so the reason why everyone's making a big deal about Super Mario Wonder is because this is the first time in a very long time that Nintendo is actually changing the Mario formula like a little bit.
Interesting.
Now, for casual players, they might be like, well, what do you mean? Because every time there's a new Mario, like it's new. There's new levels, there's new stuff. Maybe there's like a new suit. Maybe he looks like a squirrel in one. Maybe he looks like a balloon in another. Whatever. But it's very different in this time because like the entire art style is kind of different. Like usually you recognize Mario as like either like a flat 2D sprite, or if he's 3D, he's just kind of like fun and pudgy and cartoony.
Yeah.
This time he looks like a little claymation-y.
What? Like Chicken Run?
Yeah, like Chicken Run. A little bit like Chicken Run. Yeah, like he still has like 3D.
Wait. What's the original claymation movie? Why am I thinking Christmas but Halloween? Am I thinking of like a rag doll?
Are you thinking? Oh, you're thinking of Nightmare Before Christmas.
Is that claymation?
I think that's claymation. It's definitely models, if not.
If not, I know that there's a Parks and Rec episode where Ben gets into claymation and there's like a 10-second split. And I know exactly what that is because it's just a dude walking and then it's done. So Mario is in claymation now?
Yeah, it's like claymation expired. It doesn't quite look that way, but it's very reminiscent of it. A lot of people compared it to the very first Nintendo Power magazine that featured Mario, because that's literally a picture of a claymation figure of Mario, and then people are like, "Hey, it kind of looks like that." But in addition to his new look and the art style, he has like all sorts of new funky powers where like the environment changes. There's more dimensionality where like he can be in the foreground, but now he can move in the background as well. There's a lot of play with shadows. Mario can use a power up where like he literally stretches to like the size of a tree. So like he's kind of like Looney Tunes in that kind of way where like his body like kind of contorts and stretches and like moves about. There's a power up where he turns into an elephant.
What? An elephant Mario? How? I'm disturbed.
I'm gonna have to show you the video after this.
Oh my god!
But of course, for the video watchers, here's the video right there, and and there's just a lot to change about it. Like on paper, it just sounds like every other Mario, where like they kind of add like one or two new things, but like but it all adds together to make it feel like it's a brand new game, which is very interesting. There's a flower that narrates throughout the level, so like
what the fuck,
as you're like jumping on turtles and like jumping gaps, there's like a little flower who's just like, oh, good job. Have a good time. And yeah, it seems very different, very refreshing for a game that, if you're to be very critical about it, played exactly the same for like the past like 50 years.
Interesting. So I'm already thinking of a beverage pairing for that. Oh my God.
I think my last notes before you go, I can say about this. Oh, I'll say the most important thing. So there's a guy named Charles Martinet who's been voicing Mario since like the very, very beginning. Like, because like the super old games, like there are no voices in there. But I think ever since like Nintendo 64, maybe there's an earlier game than that. But since Nintendo 64, Mario's been voiced by the same guy.
What?
So this guy's like old. This guy's like old as heck. Charles Martinet is, and apparently he's very lovely to me in person. From people who have stories about him, but he's not doing the voice in this game. He finally retired. Nintendo gave him a new title, so instead of being like a voice role, now he's like the Mario ambassador, where it's literally his job to just fly around the world and meet fans and say hi to them and like do autographs and like so he's just going to be available for events and he doesn't have to work anymore.
He has that kind of following.
Yeah, oh yeah, people who've even remotely like pulled the veil from behind a Mario game knows who Charles Martinet is. Like anyone who's even remotely curious after the ending credits know who Charles Martinet is. So very, very cool for him. I wish I was paid to just hang out with my fans.
Wow. Okay. Christ.
If you pay me to hang out with all 30 of you, that's the dream.
That's the dream. Well, let's take it up a notch. All 30,000 of you.
I know. Let's get some more subscribers.
Precisely.
Anyways, but yes, how do you feel about? Now, I almost feel like I'm giving you the same prompt because I remember with Cyberpunk where it's just like, oh, there's a company that has been making great games forever, and then they fucked up royally once, and then now they're better. But now it's just like, what about a wine? Or I know you have something in mind already. You can say that as well. But maybe kind of think of it in the frame of being like, it's been kind of the same greatness for like decades, but now they're like, let's kind of move stuff around. Let's do a little refresher. Let's do something a little new.
I actually have 2 contenders, but let me narrow that down in my head to one.
Oh, there you go.
If I had to pin this as a pairing, I think I'm going to have to go with Whitcraft Winery in Santa Barbara. So, Whitcraft Winery. Yes. Listed it right here.
I was going to do the thing.
So, Whitcraft Winery occupies this like paradigm in California wine history. So, up north, people knew the Rocciolis, listed right here, or William Salem, listed right here. Or even, like Kunde, Kunde, or we could also talk about, like Fez Parker, from Santa Barbara. But Whitcraft is an interesting story in wine history because this is like, I mean this respectfully, Drake Whitcraft, if you're watching, owner of Whitcraft Winery. But it's almost like the William Salem of the South. It's like Whitcraft Pinot Noirs specifically. Like from the 90s, early 2000s, and even some from the 80s. I mean, these Pinots have aged so incredibly well. I mean, they had a following. They were affordable. And even now, if I get the opportunity to taste an old Whitcraft, I'm like, bitch, sign me up. I will be there. Like, if I have to cancel my wedding, cancel the wedding, like, I will be there for an old Whitcraft, But as of late, Drake has just taken it to a whole new fucking level. I mean, he has some Chardonnays that are like... So the older Whitcraft Chardonnays were modeled after White Burgundy. Drake is taking them now to a step that it's like, holy hell, these things are zippy. They're refreshing. They're probably going to be age-worthy as well. But the style is just more like animated in a way. It's kind of weird to describe it that way. Like, old Whitcraft Chardonnays and their style were great. They really were. Like, I mean, people knew what they were going to get. They were delicious. I would spend money on them. But now Whitcraft Chardonnays are just like pure. They're saline. They're just like... Again, the word I could think of is animated, but the Pinot Noirs, holy hell, these Pinot Noirs. So Whitcraft Pinot Noirs have always been good, but the ones that he's been coming out with, like as of like 2020, 2021, even 2019, 2018, like these Pinots are just like displaying a whole new facet of what Whitcraft can be. So it's like you have, oh god damn it, I can't really describe Whitcraft Pinots in any other way than to describe them as like formerly as like rustic, beautiful, charming, right? So it's like they have this rusticity that reminds you of like this villa out in Tuscany. but they're charming in a way that, like, I don't know. Like, imagine you were like the Hobbit sized, and you're going back to whatever the hell they come from, like that little tunnel thingy. Yeah. You're like Gandalf Ducky, but you're like, wow, this is a nice, comfy little abode, Yeah. So those are the things that come to mind when I think of like the older Witchcraft styles. But the stuff that Drake is doing now, it's like, man, it feels like the way that you described the new Tears of the Kingdom, Legend of Zelda, like the panoramics. You're just like, okay, Legend of Zelda was already great, but like the views in Tears of the Kingdom, like the overlay, like it's just scenic. And so when you taste these new Witchcraft Pinots and Chardonnays, you're just like, there's this side of you that I did not know that I absolutely love. Like you were already, a great person, but like, man, like this is great. Like you're now this like, imagine it kind of like this. You were already the governor of a state, but you decide to move to a new state, start a new thing, whatever, and then you become senator of that new state.
You can do that.
Yeah, you can do that. Yeah, Mitt Romney's the best example. Oh, I got so many takes on that guy. Used to be the governor of Massachusetts, and now is the senator of the state of Utah.
Okay,
but so that's a bad analogy. Please don't equate Mitt Romney to Witchcraft. I was not trying to say that, Drake. I'm sorry. But it's like these new Witchcraft Pinots, it's just like you guys were already successful, but like what you're doing now, like holy hell, like Witchcraft had no reason to change their style. They were already selling well. They already had a beloved following. Like they already were in California lore, like as one of the best wineries in California. But what they did, it's like, it surprised me because I'm like, you didn't have to change anything and you could have lived forever, But like this just shows you the innovation that Drake is willing to go. It's like he's not content with staying and resting on the laurels, of the reputation of Witchcraft. He was like, no, I want to make my impact on Witchcraft. And holy shit, was it a fucking impact? Mm-hmm. So that would be my pairing for that. Because when I think of Mario, Mario's already a legend. Yeah. But it's like, bro, claymation. I fucking love it, And it's like with Witchcraft Pinots, it's like everybody who loves Pinot in California knows Witchcraft. And the stuff that Drake is pumping out now, they're like, whoa, my guy. The only thing I don't like is they're expensive now. But again, good things cost money, so I'm content with that. But which I'm pretty sure Mario is too. When Mario games were first released, they were probably, like what, $5?
Oh, well, I mean, inflation's quite the bitch, but yeah.
Nowadays,
even back then, Nintendo games were very expensive.
But now, how much is that game releasing for? If you don't have a subscription to gaming services?
If you don't have a subscription, I think, wait a minute. Okay, so the new Zelda game moved to the new $70 price point. Games for the very longest time were $60. Before then, they used to be $50. But with inflation, even with inflation, I think gaming is still the cheapest it's ever been. But gosh, I think the new Mario moved to that new $70 price point as well. So
I could buy 2 bottles of Witchcraft basic wines for that.
Or you can buy your most favorite cheap wines for a case.
Rekka's Pinot Noir, $69 for a case. But yeah, for the Witchcraft drinkers, play this new Mario game. For the Mario gamers, drink this Witchcraft Pinot.
Yeah, please. Both opportunities should be experienced. That was a weird burp I did.
So, short intermission. Victor wants to teach us something.
Oh, yes.
About Mr. Hideo Kojima, right? Or is it Kojima?
Either way, but I would say your first attempt was more successful.
I already forgot it. I'm sorry, Mr. Hideo.
Hideo Kojima. So I purchased this book. Small disclaimer. I've only gotten probably a fourth into this one. Didn't touch that one yet. And I just got that one a few days ago.
But we said we will review media. And this is media.
It is hard for my brain to finish books. That's my only excuse. Anyways. So Hideo Kojima, I believe this book, just really briefly, is just about the way he comes up with his ideas, his games, and stuff like that. So this is kind of like a little inside of his brain.
But why is he a big thing?
The reason why he's a big thing is because he is seen in the industry as an innovative game director where like he kind of pushes the boundary of video games a little bit. I was giving you an example earlier where like in one of his newer games, one of his last Metal Gear games, I'm skipping ahead a little bit. He's a well-known director of the Metal Gear Solid franchise. But anyways, but for his 5th game, he'll do something like a little silly where it's like if you keep messing with like wild animals and like livestock and stuff like that, you'll get a little radio call being just like, hey, stop that. And,
stop messing with the sheep.
And as the player, you're just like, oh, it's kind of weird to be told off in video games, because even to this day, there's very little video games who question the actions of the player.
What was that game that you were playing that one time where you were in a vineyard?
Or I was playing Final Fantasy.
Okay, so if you were picking grapes, would the narrator tell you stop picking grapes? No, they wouldn't give a shit, right?
If anything, in a way, that game would be functionally limited compared to a Hideo Kojima game because you can't even pick the grapes anyways.
Aww, so they're just there for show.
They're just there for decoration.
Versus if it was a game from him, he'd be like, hey, stop eating the grapes. You're supposed to pick them.
Yeah. So, yeah, but the reason why people see Hideo Kojima as like a groundbreaker in video games, because he would take the very nature of the medium, which is to be interactive, and kind of play with it, being just like, okay, we're releasing to a scene where there is like some people, maybe you're beachside and like whatever else, and maybe you got a gun. There's probably some players who would like mess around, immediately try to start shooting people, immediately probably to be like, hey, can I go in the water? And immediately like just like instinctually a person who doesn't take the setting quite seriously, which is, to be fair, most gamers would probably do that stuff, and he'll have an interaction for it. If you just start shooting people, your comrade would probably be like, hey, stop it. If you try to go in the ocean, they'll be just like, what are you doing? You don't even have the proper equipment to go swim right now.
Holy
Get back here. Or maybe you go in there and then you're just, maybe you're just like all wet and weird, and like now your guns don't work because you drowned your gun in your barrel, and you're just like, oh, this gun's not actually well suited for getting wet or stuff like that. Like he'll kind of mess with you in that way. And one of his biggest well-known tricks that he's done in a video game is in Metal Gear Solid for the PlayStation. There's this boss. Sorry, I was gonna say sorry for the spoiler, but this game is so old at this point. There's no way you haven't played it. And if you've been thinking about playing your first Hideo Kojima game, make it this one. So in Metal Gear Solid 1, there is a boss called Psycho Mantis. Now, the setting is that you're an espionage specialist. These people are like trying to awaken a weapon of mass destruction in the form of a giant mech that like has like missiles and nukes on its payload, and you're just Lord. Like, oh, we got to stop that, right? So, in your adventure in trying to stop this operation, you meet Psycho Mantis, and Psycho Mantis has powers. What is his powers? His powers is to read your mind. And you would think, being like, oh, it's a video game, it's like a narrative device, it's just there just to be there. But in gameplay, maybe that was just a cat, but in gameplay, what does it mean for the boss to read your mind? It probably means he knows what buttons you're pushing, right? And you would never expect that from video game, because video games don't kind of break the fourth wall in terms of knowing, like, reading your intent as a game player. So anytime you try to punch him, hitting square button or whatever, he knows that and he'll dodge you. Every time you aim to shoot him, he'll get out of your range. He'll kind of like move. And obviously he's dodging your bullet shots. And you would play this boss. If this is the first time you're playing this boss match, you'll die, or you'll run out of time, or he'll mock you over and over and over again, and you'll get frustrated, and you'll be like, how the fuck do I beat this guy? Eventually, I don't remember quite how, but eventually you will get the knowledge of being like, this guy keeps talking to me. Throughout the match, or the boss fight, I keep calling it a match, throughout the boss fight, he'll like keep mocking you, right? By breaking the third wall. he will read your memory card, which is the thing you put in your PlayStation to save all your saves.
That.
So like if you've been playing like other games from Metal Gear was published by a company called Konami. If you've been playing other Konami games like their soccer series game called FES, if you've been playing other freaking games by them, Psycho Mantis will read your mind by reading your memory card and being like, oh, you like to play Castlevania games, huh? And your mind will explode being like, how the fuck? Like you'll get like goosebumps to be like, how the fuck did he know I played Castlevania?
That is terrifying.
How did he know that? And you'll be, and if you're young at the time, you'll probably be like fucking like 9-year-olds old being like, I'm turning this off. What the fuck?
Yeah, it's like, is this thing possessed?
So then intuitively you will think, he knows my memory card. He's seemingly knowing my button inputs before I press them. What happens if I unplug my controller and plug it into player slot 2?
Mm-hmm.
You do that, suddenly he's confused. He doesn't know what you're about to press, and you're able to shoot him.
What? So that's how you beat the boss.
And you're finally able to make him take damage.
What kind of mindfuckery is that, Hideo?
And to do that, as a young person, or you don't even have to be young, that's your first time playing, you'll be like, oh my god, this game expects me to beat this boss by physically futzing around with my console. And no game has ever done that before.
And this is just the first game he ever made?
This is probably like the 4th or 5th game he's ever made, but this is the first game he's made for PlayStation. This is the first like main release game that people are just like, oh, Metal Gear, I kind of heard of that. All of the other games, people are like,
wonky ass software do you need?
Yeah. And I love it too, because like there's this other instance where in the middle of the boss fight, the screen will flicker and it'll go to black, and in the corner it'll say Hideo, because his name kind of looks like it says video. And if you're not paying attention, you'll get scared and think, oh, my TV just switched inputs on me, and you'll like probably like think like, oh, let me grab my remote and hit the input button again. And then you hit the input button and be like, wait, nothing's changing. And then you realize it's your PlayStation. It's the game. It's messing with you.
Fucking hell.
It's like it's like almost freaking a psychological thriller being just like kind of fucking with you and be like, oh my God. My other favorite instance is, there's another part, in Metal Gear Solid 2 where the game comes in multiple discs. Now, this was kind of regular in the PlayStation era, where it's just like there'll be games that are so big that they can't fit onto one disc. Mm-hmm. One of my favorite games of all time, Final Fantasy VII, is on 3 discs. And every time you get to a chapter end, it would be like, hey, it's time to switch games. You're on to like the next part of the chapter. In a Hideo Kojima game, they fuck with you by being like, hey, by the way, Solid Snake, which is the character's name, is like, by the way, Snake, you're gonna want to change discs right now. And Snake goes like, what the fuck? What are you talking about? So this is real life. This is not. And then it's just like, and then you switch games and you kind of like laugh about it. And then in the 4th game, which is PS3 era, this is now the download era. So if you have the game downloaded, you don't need to change disc.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's a physical edition. Or actually, yeah, this is what it was. There's in the PS3 era, there's now these discs called Blu-rays that hold way more data. So you don't need multiple discs anymore. You only have the one. Mm-hmm. But if you downloaded it, you don't need discs anyways. So depending on the version that you have, the guy will call you on the radio and go like, hey, Snake, it's time to change discs. And he goes, oh, wait a minute. You're on a Blu-ray disc. You don't need to change discs. And if you downloaded it, his dialogue changes to being like, hey, it's time to switch to... Oh, there is no disc. You can just keep playing. Never mind. Sorry about that.
Oh my God. See, if I was high, I'd be like, bro.
Dude, exactly. If you're high during these games, oh my God. Anyways, I took a really long time to explain that, but this is why this guy is kind of like a master of kind of fucking with you. So yeah, this is a fun time.
I'm scared. I am scared of that guy. I don't want to play any games by him. Okay, first of all, let's start with that.
By the way, in Metal Gear Solid 4, you fight Psycho Mantis again, And because the PS3 doesn't have physical controller ports because the controllers are no longer wired, you have to like digitally in the menu switch to controller port 2. But if you do that, Psycho Mantis yells at you and goes like, I'm not going to fall for your tricks again. Fuck you. And then you can't control your controller anymore because like it's digitally set to 2, so you can't control anything from port 1 anymore. And it's like, it's so funny. It's like the most funniest thing I've ever seen in my life. Because I did not play these games in order. I think I played Metal Gear Solid 1, or no, I played Metal Gear Solid 2 a little bit, gave up on it, played Metal Gear Solid 4, beat the entire game, and went, oh my god, I love Metal Gear. I'm going to go back and play the old ones. And then I played 3, 2, and then 1. So I went 100% backwards. Mm-hmm. But when I was playing 4, I remembered like, oh yeah, that used to be an Easter egg when you fight Psycho Mantis. You have to switch to controller port 2. Mm-hmm. And I kind of thought of that just kind of knowing the lore, but I never played those games. So when I switched to controller port 2 and he said that to me, my mind was blown. I was just like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I'm still mind blown. Like the fact that, so see, I'm already like clueless when it comes to games. If I were to be playing this game at my level, I'd be like, bro, call a priest. Like this game, like this game knows something that I obviously don't, because like you're reading my thoughts, bro. Like this is creepy.
Okay, one more.
Yes.
My most favorite Easter egg is in Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater. There is a boss called The End, and he is old. Throughout this game's fictional history, he's like one of the best snipers ever. Like he camouflages well. He knows how to use his environment. Blah blah blah. He can kill you from like fucking miles away. I don't know, whatever his backstory is. But now he's old. Mm-hmm. But he's genetically enhanced. So like, you know, he's even though he's super old, he's still super agile. He kind of has to activate his powers because like he's like kind of like all disheveled and old and in a wheelchair. Mm-hmm. But once he sees Snake, he's like, whoa, gets out of his chair and he starts fucking running around and like starts sniping you from trees. But here's the funny part. There are 3 ways to kill him. 3. One is the normal video game way, which is just to fight him, try to outsmart him, try to use tactics, try to use smoke grenades, try to use the environment to hide, try to be better than him at his job of being like an expert sniper. Or you can do 2 mindfucky ass things. There is a cutscene before you fight him, mm-hmm. where you're on a cliff and you see The End and all of his other enemy comrades, and you look at them through the binoculars and you watch this cutscene where they're kind of talking, and you're just like, oh, I wonder what they're talking about. When the cutscene ends, if you're fast enough, you can whip out a sniper and shoot him before the boss fight. And then when you get to the boss fight, obviously he's dead.
Yeah.
And then nothing happens. You enter the forest and Snake's like, guess no one's here, and then keeps going. Because you already killed him. The number 3 way to kill him is the most mindfuck possible. So you don't kill him from the cliff with the sniper. You go in like normal. The boss fight starts. The cutscene's like, I'm going to kill you, Snake. And the fight starts. If you save the game in the middle of the boss fight, turn it off, turn your PS2 back on, change the internal clock of the PlayStation to like a couple weeks later, maybe like a few months later, and then turn the game back on, he will die of old age when you turn the game back on.
What the fuck?
You load your save, like Snake's in the middle of the forest, and like a cutscene starts, and Snake's like, where's The End? And he kind of looks like, oh, he's right there. He's dead.
Wow. Okay, this guy has a brain unlike any other game developer that I think I've ever come across.
Yeah.
I'm terrified.
Yeah. And I think he does this very expertly because he is a giant movie buff, and like he loves music. Like he just loves media. It's kind of amazing that human beings are able to use these tools to create new things, new sounds, new images, new like he's super into it. He's constantly consuming media. That's like his big thing. And so I think he just understands interactive media in a way where he's just like, why are video games trying to replicate music? Why are they trying to replicate movies? You're supposed to play them. And you can interact with media in a way that you just plain out cannot in any other format. So why not make it so like if you interact with a certain way, this will happen. But if you go about it the same situation in a different way, something else happens.
Yeah.
So it's just like that's just his brain. That's so
fucking trippy.
So that's what this book's about. Hopefully, I'll read it one day.
Yeah, I mean, to our listeners, Hideo Kojima, or Kojima,
yeah,
Kojima.
There you go.
There we go. I got it there.
You got to get it. Sorry for the tangent.
No, you're fine.
I love Hideo.
But I do hope you're ready for your pairing today because Lord Almighty is a confusing one.
Oh, I forgot about this part of the show. Go ahead.
Yeah. He was all excited talking about Hideo.
I was so into it.
And he was like, oh, we're getting into the show great. And I was like, nope. Well, you got your own Hideo Kojima scenario here.
Okay.
So I was having dinner with the former client, and they popped this bottle that I saw the two gentlemen carrying the grape on the label.
What's their name and birth date and social security number?
Right. So I saw the label and immediately I'm like, oh, fuck. Why? So there is this philosophical winery by the name of Kongsgaard. Mm-hmm. So Kongsgaard. Mm-hmm. So its label is very famous among the elite. So it's like two little plebs carrying a large grape. You'll see the label, obviously, that Victor will put up. But yeah, so that's the Kongsgaard label. So if you know anything about wine, about high-end wine, you know Kongsgaard. They have a Viognier, they have a Chardonnay, they have a Syrah, and a Cabernet, and I think every now and then they might make an Albarino. Mm-hmm. But so the dinner's about to start, and I see the label, and I see it's, like a burgundy-ish bottle, so it's, slender, then it elongates and gets fat at the bottom. The opposite bottle of this one right here, almost always known as the Pinot Noir bottle. But yeah, so I see that, and I'm like, fuck, this is either going to be a Syrah or a Chardonnay, and they're both extremely expensive. But I have one fear in my head, specifically, that I didn't peep the label. I saw the two guys carrying the grape, but I didn't see if I saw the word "the judge." So, the judge on a Kongsgaard Chardonnay is like the elite of the elite. So this Chardonnay can range anywhere between $500 to $800 a bottle, while the standard Chardonnay is anywhere between like $100 to like $200 a bottle. So I saw the label. He's walking, but it's like tilted, and I'm like, fuck. Like, oh my God, like, am I about to have a nearly $1,000 bottle of Chardonnay, And if it's an over one, probably even more expensive, I'm like, fuck. So I'm already like, in my head, I have me sitting in this chair just drenched in sweat, like just drenched, because I'm like, the judge, like, I need to come up with some eloquent ass fucking words. I better analyze the shit out of this. I don't know what they're going to serve with this. To my relief, it's not the judge. It's just the basic Napa Valley Chardonnay. It was either a 2020 or 2021. I can't remember exactly. I was already kind of toasted at this point because it started with champagne. But so I've had Kongsgaard Chardonnay before, and every single time I have it, I never know what the fuck to make of it. I've only had the judge once, and even then it was at a blackout, wine tasting party. So I can't remember the judge very well, but the Napa Valley Chardonnay I know quite well. This last edition was a mindfuck. I tasted that Chardonnay, and I could not render a judgment, no pun intended, myself as to whether I actually liked it or not. So this Chardonnay, when he poured it, was kind of like, I wouldn't call it cloudy, but you could definitely tell it was not filtered. And it poured like canola oil in a way. It was very saturated. Had a nice like lime green shimmery hue to it. I gave it a few swirls, and then I gave it a sniff. Victor, the scents on this wine were confusing as fuck. So I got melted butter, I got the husk of a fucking pecan. If you've never smelled that, that's a very unique smell. I got what in Spanish is known as piloncillo, which is like a cane sugar cone of some sort. I got black olives, and I got dill. So, if you know anything about Chardonnay, those are not characteristics at all from Chardonnay. Now, in the Kongsgaard Chardonnays I've gotten before, I've gotten like this bay leaf meets rosemary meets oregano resiny, but I've never gotten black olives. I've never gotten piloncillo. I've never gotten the husk of a fucking pecan. That was just weird. And so I take a sip, and it feels like straight oil on my tongue. I'm like, oh my God. And then it's like, it almost feels like it hits your tongue and you just feel the heaviness. It feels like you're literally glogging like heavy cream. But then it's like, it seeps into your tongue. And then you taste like fucking toothpaste. And then you taste like bay leaves. And then you taste like this really weird mix of, have you ever had just straight miso paste? It tasted like that.
Yeah.
And then it's like after that, then finally came like a little bit of like an appley flavor. And I'm like, my brain was not working. I'm like, this goes against every 10. I mean, Kongsgaard is already confusing.
How do you not look around and be like, I think I'm having a stroke, guys? Call the hospital?
Right? It's like, I was just like, okay, this is a cool Chardonnay, but I don't like drinking oil. I don't like the texture of oil. I don't want to eat straight miso paste. I don't want to smell green pecan husks in my wine. But it was strange. And the weirdest part is that, like, as it opened up, it like started turning more into like a banana pineapple kind of like smell. And then you would taste it, and it had like this insanely like, have you ever had an apple that was just a bit past its prime before it rotted? Like, you know, like those, like, you know, like those mushy apples that you're like, No. It's like, it almost tastes like applesauce minus the cinnamon. So it's like, it started smelling like bananas and pineapple, but then it started tasting like that and like a really weird, oh my God, I'm trying to think of the word to describe this. Not like a fried egg, but like a hard boiled egg, maybe. Okay, yeah, you kind of get the gist. It's like tropical fruits and fucking eggs. Like, what the fuck? So I'm like, oh my God. It's like Kongsgaard is already like AP calculus on its own. But this particular bottle of Chardonnay was just like fucking, okay, let's put Willy Wonka in charge of making this shit, because who the fuck knows, you know, what the end goal is here. So I'm just sitting there like just fucking, I don't know, quixotic minded, I guess. And I'm like, and they're like, what do you think? And so all of this is going in my head in the span of like 2 minutes, right?
Yeah.
It's like, okay, so they serve scallops that were like tossed with garlic and butter, which I'm like, okay, great pairing, you know, on its own with Chardonnay, but I don't know what I'm tasting. And he was the host, the husband, he was just like, so what do you think? And I'm like, this is a quintessential Kongsgaard, you know, like it has facets that make you question, like, is this really Chardonnay? But then you drink it and you're like, no, this might be like more of like a really gamey version of like Roussan meets like fucking Groyo. I think I phrased it more like, yeah, this is like if a white roan had a baby with like a Hura white. And he was just like, right, it's just very, you know, complex. And I'm like, that's the word.
Complex, sure.
So, my official challenge to you, Mr. Victor,
oh no,
is what game has left you so totally mindfuck as to something you thought you knew? So remember, when I saw this bottle of Chardonnay coming, I already knew this was going to be a challenge. Because I'm like, fucking hell, I'm not deserving of a Kongsgaard. I was scared of the judge. The judge is one of those wines that like makes you tremble in your fucking boots. But thankfully, it wasn't this. It was just the Napa Valley Chardonnay. I've had Chardonnay, my God, for every white blood cell I have in my body, I think I've had that times like 5. I've had Chardonnay until the world can, you know, mull over. So I knew Chardonnay. I knew the Napa Valley. I knew the fucking vineyard this place was coming from. I, in my head, knew what I was going up against. But then I taste it, and I'm like, damn, I'm a little bitch. What wine or what media has made you feel like that? You go in thinking, yeah, I'm the hot shit. I've done this a million times. You can't fucking scare me. And then you leave and you just have bright red lumps on your ass when you're walking out. And when you have tears in your eyes too, because you're like, fuck, I got a long ways to go.
Let's see. There's a number of things for experience wise. I'm like, it's probably the first time I fucking went to that PAX event as a journalist, and I'm just like, yeah, I know how to talk to people. I know how to talk video games, and I go out of it. I'm like, oh, that was the worst interview I've ever done.
Let me remind you, this wine didn't leave me humbled. It left me thinking, fuck, I'm stupid. There's a difference between feeling humility and feeling just dumb.
Oh, no, I felt dumb. To be fair, only like one or two interviews made me feel dumb. The rest of them, I was just like, okay, I'm getting the hang of it. Anyways, I mean, it's hard not to go with like a From Software game, like a Dark Souls or something. But I'll tell you what, I'll give you a controversial one. It's controversial in terms of the internet likes it. I was remain baffled the whole time, being just like, what is this game trying to be? And the video game I'm thinking about is Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order.
Oh, is this the one that has that new Jedi? What's his name? Not Kane? Callan?
Cal Kestis.
There we go.
Kestis. Cal Kestis. No, that still sounds wrong. Anyways, Victor.
Here's Cal, the Jedi.
Look at him. He's handsome. Handsome real life actor too.
Handsome Cal.
From when it was announced to the first gameplay reviews, previews and stuff like that, and I'm watching reviews and I'm just like, okay, so this is EA Games, who is known for like the Battlefield series, like, they're known for shooter games and stuff like that.
I thought EA was like the sports thing.
EA Sports.
There we go.
That was a subdivision.
Oh.
They did the sports. Proper EA was just like, let's do some shooters, let's do some adventure games, let's do whatever. So I was just like, okay. So a studio that's known for shooters being developed by a studio that's made for shooters, which is Respawn. They've done like Titanfall and all that stuff. Former Call of Duty developers as well. So like all they know is shooters, but for some reason they're doing a third-person lightsaber game. Mm-hmm. So it's just like, oh, how's this going to turn out? And then they're just like, when they finally unveiled it, they're just like, we like Dark Souls. We're going to do a Dark Soulsian ass fucking Star Wars lightsaber game. And it's just like, that's like the opposite of shooters.
So a Dark Souls styled Star Wars game means it's a game that's meant to kick your ass.
It's meant to kick your ass. And so I get in there and I'm just like, okay, well, obviously their audience is going to be people who may or may not pick up their first console because they just like start, and they're going to be like, oh, finally a good Star Wars game after a good decent time. So it's just like, okay, so if that is their potential audience, clearly this game's not hard. It was kind of hard. Now I did beat it. Little spoilers for the end of the story. I did end up beating it, and I did like it, and I do want to play its sequel. That's already out. I just hadn't had time because of fucking all these other fucking games. God damn it, Spider-Man. I wonder.
That's how I feel with all the books I have to read. Ugh.
And so when I first played this game, I was just like, okay, so it's a little hard. That's fine. But what completely baffled me, Mr. Victor, was that people would sometimes talk about video game mechanics in terms of like, hey, like kind of like the feeling of when you go to press a button to jump over like a small wall, a little barrier. They're like, how does that feel? That's usually a video game mechanic. How does the art and the animations mechanically get you over a wall? How does that feel? That's usually what they're talking about when they talk about video game mechanics. Or like what happens when you hit an attack button and it strikes an enemy. Like, is it animation based, which is if the enemy is caught in your little animation kind of like stroke, then that registers a hit. Or is it a hitbox base, which is the animation is like all on its own. The enemy doesn't have to be caught in it. It's just that if the lightsaber just happens to hit them, then that just registers a hit.
What?
So as soon as like two like pixels like even remotely touch each other, that registers as a hit. Or is it animation based where it's just like, if you're just close enough, it'll just hit no matter what. No physical touch is necessary. So here's my problem with the game is that Dark Souls games are pretty much mostly hitbox based. If you touch them, that registers as a hit. There is some dodgy stuff where there's invincibility frames, which is if you're dodging and you physically see a weapon touch you, but because you're mid dodging, they're going to favor the player. You hit the dodge button. Your intention was not to get hit. We'll let that slide. Jedi Fallen Order does not have invincibility frames. So I'm like, oh, it's hitbox based. But Cal Kestis, the way he swings his lightsaber is very fancy. He does a lot of spins. He does a lot of flips. He does like a thing that seems very animation based. So I'm just like, oh, because it's very animation heavy, if I just get close enough to an enemy, it's going to hit him and it's going to be great. And I'm going to feel awesome. I'm going to feel like a Jedi. I'm like, oh, look at me. I'm super cool. No.
Oh.
No. Because he has these fancy and awesome looking animations, his attacks are just naturally slow because the animation has to be timed in a way where the player can perceive the physical awesomeness that is Cal Kestis swinging his lightsaber. So it's just like, yeah. So it can't be too fast where it's disorienting for the player. But it can't be so slow that you can't hit anybody. But guess what? It's slow enough that it doesn't fucking hit anybody because the enemies are fast.
Oh, hell no. So you're slowed and they're fast.
So here's the thing. Imagine this. Imagine hitting an attack button and like your character reels back his lightsaber and then swings it. Guess how many times an enemy can potentially hit me in that amount of time? Like 3 times.
Oh, fuck no.
So we get into another concept, which is timing based. You have to time your attacks in a way where you're just like, okay, if the fucking enemy kind of like does like a wide sweep and messes me, I have about like this much time to hit them before their animation ends and they might attack again. But you attack so fucking slowly that you can't really mess that time. So, and I'm sorry if I'm losing people, but I'll finally put it this way. So because things seem to be time based, but animation heavy, but not animation based, because everything is about hitboxes, my brain is just like out of whack. I'm just like, I'm hitting the dodge button, but I'm getting hit. I'm mid attacking the person, striking the enemy. I'm making damage, but by the time I hit them, they're unfazed and they hit me back. Can't dodge that for some reason.
That's how I felt with Kongsgaard. You did it.
So I'm just like, what is this game trying to teach me about its combat? Because like, if for people who know me, I'm very, very picky about video games to the point where if I feel like I'm following the game's rules and it's punishing me, I just turn it off. I'm like, fuck you. I know what I'm doing. It's your fault. That's how I usually feel about the game sometimes. But I love the game. I love what it was trying to do. I love its story. I love Respawn as a developer. And I was like, this game is fun. It just couldn't quite connect the dots of how its comment wanted to be. And I know full well I'm in the minority. I read the internet comments. I talk to my friends who are playing the same games, and they're just like, what are you talking about? The game's fun. The game's great. You probably just need to level up your stuff, and you probably need to do a little bit more dodging. I'm like, fine. I'll turn the game back on. I upgrade all my stuff as much as I can because, I can't get far enough without being fucking smacked around. And I start dodging more. And I'm like, nope. I'm getting killed way more often because this game
now,
is hard.
Do you think that I may have found this Chardonnay complicated and you found this game hard because maybe we were overthinking it?
That is 100% most likely the fact.
But I won't admit that. Because I know damn well I could taste wine. And I know what I fucking tasted. And it was not fucking Chardonnay.
And like, and here would be the thing too. I don't quite remember the bosses, but there was this one boss where it's just like, my friends were just like, oh, that guy's a bitch. Be careful. Like, just kind of use your like lightsaber throw attack and like just keep dodging. I went in there and wrecked his shit. I just like went close combat and it's just like boom, 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 and I did kill his ass in one hit. Meanwhile, there are basic ass regular enemies that are just out in the world. There's no like cinematic where it's just like, I'm the big bad guy. It's just a normal dude. Would fucking kill me in like 4 hits, and I'm just like, what are you, game? Are you hard, or are you challenging? Are you like empowering, like trying to make me feel cool and like a Jedi? You won't fucking make up your goddamn mind.
So that opens the Pandora's box of blind taste. Oh, we should do that the next episode.
Blind tests?
Blind tasting. The amount of times that I've been put in my place are innumerable. I've tasted wine that I swore up and down was Viognier. You know what it fucking was? Pinot Grigio. Or let me give you a more lucid example. I'm drinking this wine that I'm like, this looks like Pinot Noir. It tastes like Pinot Noir. It smells like Pinot Noir. You know what the fucking grape was? Syrah. They don't even grow remotely close to each other. They taste nothing like each other. And here my dumbass is like, wow, I guessed a $7 Pinot Noir as a fucking Syrah. Or no, I guessed a $7 Syrah as a high-end Pinot.
I swear to God, it quacked like a duck. I heard it.
Exactly. It's like I fucking had feathers and you're telling me it's a fucking ferret? Like, what? So, yeah. I mean, Kongsgaard Chardonnay, you nailed it on the dot. I mean, a lot of people will tell me, Victor, Kongsgaard Chardonnay is just buttery. It's rich. It's delicious. And I'm like, man, butter is 1/1000th of what I tasted in that wine. You can't tell me that this wine is just buttery, rich, and delicious, because it's fucking not. Yeah, I feel like I get angry when I talk about that kind of...
I feel like I may have lost some people because I was talking like...
No, I mean, I'm not a gaming person, but I understood full and well what you were saying.
Well, either way, I feel Post-Victor probably feels inclined to link to a video that kind of explains.
That would probably help.
Animations in video games.
But if you are in live form, that came out wrong. If you were listening as Victor was speaking, it was pretty easy to follow.
Okay, I hope so. Anyways, I think that's the show.
Christ, what an aggravating finish, right?
Oh no, I know. Well, in the words of Satoru Iwata, on my business card, I'm a corporate president. In my mind, I'm a video game developer. But in my heart, I'm a gamer. Bye, everyone.
Damn, the deep words. How do you top that? You don't top that.
You just can't. Poor guy. Died too early.
He's dead.
That's what this book's about.
I thought he was the Mario ambassador.
No, that's Charles.
I was like, what the fuck? He came back from the dead? I was like, or what the fuck? He died, but he's going out on tours? Like, what are you carrying his freaking corpse around, as like a viewing for all the Mario fans?
Mr. Victor, say bye to our...
bye. Sorry, Mr. Satoru Iwata and the current Mario ambassador. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Oh, Lordy. What a show.